Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes React. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
I'm Office Bloke Dance.
Together we are the Office Blokes.
Yeah.
It is true. We're back.
Yeah.
We are.
Back with a bang.
Yeah.
Bang.
Bang.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
As usual.
We were trying to stay out of controversy while we had strikes on the channel, so we declined to be interviewed by Tucker Carlson, didn't we? We just said it's not the right time. It feels,
Yeah.
yeah.
When the time's right.
Yeah,
We'll see.
That would
Maybe.
have been a career-defining interview for him as well, but I suppose he's got to...
It would have done well for him.
He had to fill our slot, basically, didn't he? And he's like...
You had to pick someone, didn't he?
Why is it called Tucker?
Tucker?
Is that a nickname or is that his name?
It's his real name, I think, as far as I know. Now, what I want to say before this, we did react to Tucker Carlson talking about something once when he was on Fox News,
Correct.
I think it was.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stick in the comments for reacting to Fox News because it's...
Yeah, it was just a story. It was a story more than who was reporting it.
Yeah,
wasn't
we're not interested in the politics of it, whether it's left or right or whoever people say Tucker is or what his beliefs are. That's not what...
It was definitely just a story. It just so happened to be on Fox.
It was a story we were looking for.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that at the beginning. Like, we're not.
I'd never even, to be fair, never really heard of him until we did that.
We're just not here for politics.
Yeah, no.
But this is absolutely huge, and we do have to talk about it. So
this is not particularly the politics either, is it? It's more.
Oh, it is.
It's geopolitics, but he's taking the role of a journalist. So I think from that stance, it's not his political leanings.
Well, he is a journalist, isn't he?
Yeah. But some people are saying it's not a journalist, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, he is or isn't. I mean.
I think if you're interviewing world leaders, you're probably a journalist, aren't you?
Well, anyone's a journalist.
Right,
Stan Collymore a journalist.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you not remember when he got chased down in? He kicked off in I think it was Paris, Liverpool, and it all kicked off. And Stan Collymore was running down, going, "Journalist."
How was it?
Oh, we should have been a cop that day.
The job in Holland.
Journalist.
Well, yeah, Tucker Carlson's flown to Moscow. He's done an interview with Putin, which will be out by the time this comes out, because at the time of recording...
It's coming out at 11 o'clock tonight, UK time.
We've still got the strikes on the channel for another... It says 2 days, but I think it's like 25 hours or something,
right.
if it's done to the hour. So the interview will be out, but it is what it is, Nothing else to say about that. But it's for Decoy Voice's take on it, which, as you know, we were reacting to Decoy Voice quite a bit. Let's see what he says.
Yep.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, let's do it.
Tucker Carlson was recently spotted in Russia, where for some reason, a journalist interviewing a world leader has the mainstream media panicked.
Can I ask you about your interview with Putin?
With who?
With Putin.
I've heard the name, but I...
With our president Putin.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but I don't.
As the mainstream dinosaur media quickly put their spin on Carlson.
In fact, one of the leaders of the MAGA GOP is in Moscow tonight. It's the man you see here with the MAGA leader Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson. Possibly there in Moscow to interview Putin. Definitely there as a Putin-supporting celebrity.
But as Tucker finally confirmed his interview with Putin, most people understand why he's doing it.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. Here's why we're doing it. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, but they should know. They're paying for much of it. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in. And we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself.
And here's the thing, I can completely buy the idea that Russia is America's enemy and they're doing terrible things overseas that need to be stopped. My issue is, if you constantly tell me someone is a really bad guy, but for some reason I'm not allowed to hear what that bad guy is saying, just that you say he's really bad and I just have to trust what you're saying about what he's saying, something doesn't quite add up here. Claiming Carlson is going to promote Putin's propaganda and Americans would be too stupid to see it is awfully ironic to say right after they run segments about our own thriving economy while their viewers fall deeper into debt. Because journalism is basically dead, as interviewing a world leader in an extremely dangerous situation is something journalists used to aspire to do by building their careers through bravery. But looking at the front page of MS...
Definitely got more despondent listening to politicians recently on all sides. You know, when you think, who are you to tell us what we can and can't listen to or make our own minds up?
I'm just waiting for them to start the... When they do the door to door in the for the general election that's upcoming in May, I reckon over here. I'm waiting for them to knock on my door. I'm going to leave our door open. In the
politicians,
so they can get in.
This way,
so they can get in. Yeah.
I just think this
some snide's made his way into our building and put a Lib Dem thing under my door.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the idea that we can't trust the general public with this information because they wouldn't know what to think. And it's like,
right.
so as politicians, you're more intelligent than the rest of us, are you?
Correct, that's what they're saying.
Actually, some of them are just thick as pig shit, but they were born into money.
They don't want you to know because that's how they make more money.
Well, precisely, then they can pull the wool over your eyes a lot easier. But they all do it.
The way they talk, some of them, and just like you say there, exactly that. They talk as if you're like a total idiot.
Yeah. There was one the other day where a woman said to Rishi Sunak, can we not just go back to the way things were? And he kind of just went, ha, 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 and laughed in her face. And then she went, no, I'm serious. My daughter's been ill and she's been trying to get an NHS appointment for 7 months now. And he just goes, and just walked off. Yeah, won't even listen to her story about her daughter not being well. And I'm like, you've got our best interests at heart, really.
Well,
I don't like them all. I really don't. This isn't a political thing, but fuck them.
Used to aspire to do by building their careers through bravery. But looking at the front page of MSNBC right now, there's nothing about it. The front page of CNN has nothing about the interview, except one small story about Tucker Carlson's habits in Russia, where they just use this as an opportunity to explain that he's just a far-right journalist. And even Tucker's former employer in Fox News doesn't have anything about it on their front page, without a single mention of Tucker, which is awfully strange because these corporate media outlets have been assuring me that the tens of billions of our tax dollars have been spent on destroying his country on the Eastern Front. Shouldn't we be able to see how bad his morale has become? Or is this just the go-to move the media makes when their narrative doesn't quite match up with reality? Because censoring world leaders is just what they do. When Trump won the Iowa caucus, CNN did this.
Although here he is right now under my voice, you hear him repeating his anti-immigrant rhetoric.
And that wasn't the only instance.
We're not carrying his remarks live because, frankly, he says a lot of things that are not true and sometimes potentially dangerous.
And not just CNN, but MSNBC too.
The projected winner of the Iowa caucuses has just started giving his victory speech. Of course, there is a reason that we and other news organizations have generally stopped giving an unfiltered live platform to remarks by former President Trump. It is not out of spite. There is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things. Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. That is a fundamental truth of our business and who we are. And so his remarks tonight will not air here live. We will monitor them.
Which is nothing new to MSNBC, as back in 2020, they did the same.
Iowa, Indiana, Ohio.
Okay, here we are again in the unusual position of not only interrupting the President of the United States, but correcting the President of the United States.
And even supposedly conservative Fox News does it too.
And then, no.
Well, the former president finally got around to some campaign promises amid lots of cheering, as you heard. Many untruths. The 2020 election was not rigged. It was not stolen.
So when Trump says it, censor it. But this is perfectly fine.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did.
So if Trump is truly this terrible liar, why won't they?
They're all at it, aren't they? Like, absolutely every single one of them.
I just, you know what I mean? It's I've never heard anyone tell the truth in politics. Never.
I think some people get into it for the right reasons when they're young and then just become part of the machine when they realise that's how stuff gets done in politics.
It's so corrupt.
Yeah.
It's laced with pure corruption.
Yeah.
From top to bottom.
all sides though.
Yep.
Like definitely, it's absolutely everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just madness. It is possible to be fully devil's advocate for that woman who was just talking. She may have got in trouble for saying that. About the woman before.
Right, the news
about she may have got in trouble for saying that about the vaccine and it being wrong, and then that's why she's being overcautious now. That's me being as generous as I possibly.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I'm being as generously devil's advocate as I can be there. That's all.
He just let him lie and quickly provide the proof as to how he's contradicting the truth and just make him look like a buffoon. If he was really doing this, it seems like they're passing up an easy win. So they can claim Trump is terrible all they want, but at some point in time they're going to have to actually show him doing it and not just referencing each other's garbage gossip in an echo chamber. As I remember eating at a restaurant in Los Angeles around the 2020 election, I was just watching a stream of Trump speaking to the nation, and my waiter, peeking over my shoulder onto my phone, pompously said, "Hey, just so you know, Fox is fake news." And I remember almost saying, "It's a speech, it's gonna be the same everywhere," or even being mean and making a remark about the current dining dynamic that we're in. But I recall just silently pausing for a moment and just looking at him, seeing him as a guy that was so far deep into his echo chamber that even catching a glimpse of what's beyond his programming was enough to freak him out, forfeit any opportunity at a tip just to pledge his allegiance to his preferred mainstream media outlet. So I didn't say a thing and just felt sorry for the server that was somehow convinced into North Korean levels of loyalty to a news station. Because let's be clear, I think Fox News is garbage too, as they all align with their official talking points when it really comes down to it.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities. The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
So when everybody from CNN...
Have you ever seen that before?
No.
It went around like a year or so ago, and it's every news station, or I mean, there's a shitload of them. It's probably not everyone saying the exact same speech, word for word, but just swapping out, whatever their locality is.
Have you ever seen a politician's tweet over here? It comes out, the politician tweets it, one politician tweets it, and then if you follow multiple politicians on Twitter or X,
right,
you'll see them all saying exactly the same thing, word for word.
Yeah.
It's like a company's got they're doing the tweets for them.
But they're all supposedly different media outlets, like news organisations that might be rivals to each other and stuff.
Have they?
And they've just been handed a piece of paper to say this is what he's saying.
Obviously all owned by...
They're all owned by the same people, aren't they?
Same people.
Yeah.
Like I always say, just stick to your own, stay in your lane, fucking don't worry about the rest. Do your own shit. Do your own corruption. Form your own little fucking army.
Yeah.
Sounds like a call to arms there.
The Fox News says, "We cannot allow our viewers to hear what the president is saying. Is it because we suddenly don't have the capacity to hear his lies in between all their lies? Or is it because they're so desperate to protect their carefully curated narrative that they will actually limit the speech of a president, domestic or foreign? Because I think it's all connected to this."
I'm wearing my Ukraine tie, my Ukraine pin, which I've been wearing because they're in dire straits right now. Every week, every month that passes without new aid Ukraine means fewer artillery shells, fewer air defense systems, fewer tools for Ukraine to defend itself against this Russian onslaught. Just what Putin wants.
Now, I simply can't recall a single time a president anywhere has preached to his own people while decked out in another country's drip, demanding $60 billion of their tax dollars be sent to the country that he's currently representing, like some NASCAR driver proudly sporting his corporate sponsors. Because let's be clear, this border security bill he's promoting also says it provides a fraction of its spending on the American border.
All indications are this bill won't even move forward to the Senate floor. Why? A simple reason. Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump thinks it's bad for him politically. Therefore, he doesn't, even though it helps the country, he's not for it. He'd rather weaponize this issue than actually solve it.
And the irony in this statement has so many meanings it's almost poetic. Claiming Trump will weaponize the border crisis while he's literally packaging the border crisis with actual weapons he's sending overseas is peak levels of self-snitching. Never mind the fact that the Biden administration assured us in 2021 that there was no border crisis. 2022, we still have the most secure borders ever. In 2023, there is absolutely no crisis at the border. But suddenly, when election season comes up, it's now Trump's fault that we we've had this crisis at the border for the last 4 years. Now, it's incredibly clear the man that wasn't even allowed to make a Facebook account doesn't have much control over the border, let alone the Republican Party that's seemingly desperate to knock him out the presidential race. But if you exist in an entirely controlled echo chamber where you haven't heard a word Trump has actually said in the last 4 years, in that circumstance, you could probably believe that Trump is causing the border crisis, because in a carefully curated bubble, your reality is whatever they tell you. And knowing all these things they're trying to make you believe about the border and Trump, I really wonder why they're freaking out about Tucker interviewing the other president they've villainized in the media. And I'm not automatically going to assume that he's some great guy, I'm just questioning why we're not even allowed to verify. And notice how I covered this topic. Videos with what Tucker said, and then what his opposition in the mainstream media said, and then looked into why specific outlets cover this story in that particular way. And if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you've known that I just follow the story wherever it goes. Sometimes I'm confirming that a sports journalist is a race grifter, and sometimes I'm debunking that a sports podcaster is a race grifter.
We missed that, didn't we? Because we weren't reacting. But do you remember the kid? Was he a Chiefs fan?
Seen it last week.
Have you seen that?
No, I don't think
Basically, the press took a image of him from one side that just showed the black face paint.
His face half red, half black.
Yeah, and they tried to make him out that he was doing blackface at an NFL game, and they did loads of reports and loads of stuff about him.
Kid looks about 10.
Yeah, and it's just some poor little kid that they've just decided to victimize for the sake of trying to, I don't know, for racial tensions or something.
I read it about either yesterday or the day before. I read it very recently.
It was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I just read it though yesterday or the day before.
Almost immediately it's debunked because people just showed his whole face. Yeah. And it turns out that the kid's part Native American anyway.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and it's like, wow. So not only have the press gone after someone like lying about him, but then it turns out that he's like a minority that the press are going at, which, going after.
I can't remember the news outlet who was doing it. It's
but as soon as one does
he's
it,
one
they
I've
all
never,
share
he's one
it.
I've never heard of though.
I think it was a sports one that did it first.
Yeah, but I've never heard of him.
But it's just sickening when you see it. Some poor little kid.
Yeah.
And then they've made it out like he's done blackface at an NFL game. And literally, whoever saw that footage or that picture would have known what they were doing.
100%.
$1,000,000.
The kid's got a Chiefs shirt on. He's got the headdress on.
Yeah.
So what do you think he's going to do on the others? He's going to be painted up in the Chiefs colours.
Yeah, of course.
And you've done that to some poor little kid to villainise him.
Yeah.
It's awful, that, isn't it? It's really incredible. I wish we were able to react to the time that came out.
It's the way of the world now, though. It's full of like people who just want self-recognition for like grassing on someone else. Or look at me, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But
it's not. They want to be seen to be doing the right thing, even if they're lying and doing the wrong thing.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so as long as you're pretending to do the right thing and you can...
and there's a lot of them.
It's like constructing... it's like going out causing accidents so you can film them and then, run in and go and pull people out of cars and stuff. As
I've seen
long as
influencers. I've seen his influencers collecting shit off the beach.
Yeah.
The sort of thing. And all he's done is they're in a bikini and they're picking up litter and all that kind of stuff.
Bits and then drop the bag.
And that's it, and they fuck off somewhere else.
Yeah.
They got the clip.
It's all the perception of doing the right thing versus doing the right thing, isn't it? And it's like probably social media to a degree.
Look at me giving $100 to a homeless guy. They're not filming it. Why would you film that? Just give it him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you film it because you make a few granddad revenue out of that $100.
You get your money back. Yeah, it's an investment.
It's a cheap video, really.
And then when the camera's turned off, you can beat him up and get it back anyway. So.
Mike.
I know it's a very separate thing, but there was a guy that was going and asking homeless guys if they wanted like a cheeseburger or a soda or whatever, and then he'd go in the store and he'd be like, "I got you, bro," and he'd walk in and he'd buy it and he'd stand in front of him and just eat it, and then throw the drink on the floor and walk off and film it for social media clout.
Why would you?
Just filming yourself being deplorable just for social media views.
I kind of like having a chat with some of the homeless people, mate. They're quite funny. Yeah. Some of them got great sense of humour. Some guy the other day was telling me he's got a steel plate in his head. So he's like knocking on his head. He was making a funny noise. He's like, "Look, tap it." And I'm like, "I'm not touching you, mate. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll go out. You'll fall over. I'll get sued."
Yeah.
One of the nicest guys.
I'm not falling for that one.
One of the nicest people I met when we went to New York was that actually hopeless black guy in Staten Island. We got over on the ferry. He just started talking to us. He was absolutely lovely bloke. He really was.
I'm saying you have a chat with him. Some of them are funny.
Yeah,
some of them got a story.
You should have filmed it and been like, "Look at this, office bloke Mike giving $10."
I won't give him any money.
Mike, give $10 away. You're mad.
True, yeah.
Once he's changing a $9.99 meal.
Without a corporate sponsor giving the channel an official agenda, we're free to just see what's actually happening around us. And unfortunately, I don't think a single mainstream corporate media outlet is free to do the same. So if you appreciate my concise, light-hearted commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality...
What do we think of the Tucker Carlson Putin interview? Then?
I'll watch it. I'll watch it. I'll watch
I'm
it.
gonna,
Maybe
I'm
You watch it and make your own mind up, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm guessing. You know, see what he says. It'd be interesting to see what sort of things he says Putin to him.
Yeah,
or what sort of questions he gives him as well.
You kind of know what's going to come. It's going to be a blame game, isn't it? It's going to be like a.
I would guess so. Yeah.
But my thing with the what I see with the Ukraine, without going too political, there's a hell of a lot of money being passed over there. A hell of a lot.
Yeah,
and when you look at the USA's situation, where they're what did he say? They're 60 billion,
something like that.
It was, it's a hell of a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. But then who do you think wins all the contracts to rebuild Ukraine after they win the war?
Yeah, but that's not what it should be. The American public should know about that. If that's the case, like he was alluding to there, people should be aware of what's going on and what it's about, what's behind it all.
Yeah. I think that's why there's such a vested interest in them winning, though. Like on the one hand, it's to deplete Russia's army as much as possible, so they're less of a threat against the West. And then also it is, we will give you 60 billion, but you're giving us back, 200 billion in rebuilding contracts for all your flattened cities and stuff.
Yeah, the problem
and then it'll be the big firms, the multinational ones that will go over and with the bulldozers.
Similar's happened over here with like giving money away to foreign with foreign aid. And then you look at like what's going on over here. We've got a housing problem, a housing crisis with homeless, and I'm sure they've got the same in the USA.
Yeah.
Got a massive immigration problem both over here and in the USA. It's not being tackled as such as it should be, but yet you're ploughing money into foreign aid. And you're like, well, what about us?
Yeah.
And that's what everyone's doing. Everyone's like, well, what about us at home? Where's our money?
It's kind of a thing you can do when things are good. Like when your own house is in order, then you can start thinking about helping other people.
We can help people when your house is in order. That's when you can invest more.
You've got to look after
your
own family first, don't you?
When you've got a society that's prosperous, then that's when you can say, right, let's start giving more out.
I think everyone's feeling like that in countries like the USA and in the UK, and there's European countries, where it's like it's falling apart.
To be fair,
no one seems to care.
A lot of it is down to the war in Ukraine and going from the gas prices from a couple of years ago. That's not helped matters sort of worldwide, has it? With all the trade in gas and oil and stuff like that. So that has had a big knock-on effect on the world economy, hasn't it? So
fuel went up.
So many different things, aren't there?
In the 2 years, fuel has gone up probably like 40% since the Ukraine conflict kicked off.
I saw our poll tax, council tax, whatever you call it now. I don't even know. Is it called council tax?
Council
tax.
Is
that what it's called now?
Yeah.
And someone, I said to you last week, you pointed out that it's paid for things like the roads to be fixed, the lampposts, road sweeping, the cleanliness of the whole town that you live in. And we got none of that. The roads are fucked. The water's contaminated. Everything's fucked.
Yeah, I hit a massive pothole on the way here today. They've done one road which we both drive down, but then another one of the lanes I had to move over because there was a car coming the other way, and it was like boom, enough for me to be like, fuck. I was fuming because I can do damage.
So someone's saying that you're paying like £200-300 a month just to get your bins emptied.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
That's what it's come down to. That's what it is. And even then, you don't get emptied.
You look at the towns and you think, well, what else have you done? Where's the money going?
It's a shit show at the moment.
We know where it's going.
It's not even like in affordable housing because they hardly build any of that either.
No, the way it works here is a private company acquires some land to build some expensive housing, and then they make a percentage of it affordable, which all that means is shared ownership schemes. So we'll sell you 50% of the house with a mortgage, and you can rent the other 50% of the house, so people can afford a house that they can't afford. And it all falls apart after a few years.
So then they buy it out and then sell it for inflated
that's affordable housing, though. That's what it's classed as in this country.
It's a shit show. Just even watching criminals going in and out and just barefaced, just fucking stealing shit without even no repercussions.
Just wind up in it.
Just walking straight in and just going off that, walking away. And everyone's just stood there watching them.
I'm expecting from this interview that Putin is going to mention that when the Berlin Wall came down, the agreement was that NATO doesn't expand onto any ex-Soviet countries. And then that has been gone back on, and then that's what's forced his hand. And I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, the war's bad, it's illegal, you shouldn't have done it. But then you start seeing, actually, if you're poking a bear and then the bear retaliates, to a degree, that's my limited understanding of all this sort of stuff. And then a lot of people are going to be like, well, I'm not going to war over that. I don't want to be conscripted and go and die on foreign soil for that. It's nothing to do with me.
But I mean, where did invading Ukraine come into it? As I understand it, they just invaded Ukraine, and Ukraine weren't part of NATO at the time.
They went that bottom sea bit, didn't they? Like Crimea.
Well, they've been in Crimea for a few years, haven't they?
But there's something about Crimea having the only warm water port or something that Russia controlled.
Was it deep water?
There was something like that. I want to say it was warm water, because I think when you go northern, it's like
it freeze over
the Bering Straits and things like that.
Okay,
there's something to do with that, and I think
that was part of
the
it,
annexation of Crimea was to get that back.
Yeah, that's what they wanted to port. Yeah,
something like that. But again, like, we don't understand. I certainly don't understand all the ins and outs of all this stuff.
After a couple of years, everything's sort of like the reasons sort of like gets sort of like lost in the wind, doesn't it? A bit to a certain extent. You think, what was it actually for in the first place? But
we have to worry about.
We don't want World War III. I think most people can agree we don't want World War III. And if it takes an interview like this where Putin goes, "I've been trying to negotiate and you people won't listen," it kind of forces politicians' hands. You don't negotiate with your friends, you only negotiate with your enemies. In that situation, you've got to sit around a table with your enemies and talk something through. Otherwise, it's forever war, isn't it?
Like I said, I'm just waiting for that one whistleblower who's got the balls to come out and go, him, her, him. There's the evidence. I'm off. Fucking sort it out. And then
well, that's it. Yeah, they'd be found zipped in a suitcase.
No, but I want them all the evidence to come out and then go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it will. This is the year, I think. It's going to all fucking come to the surface.
I just really hope it doesn't kick off in some bigger conflict, because it seems to be going that way. And it's like, no one wants that.
All the big boys are getting involved now, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, how many dead Ukrainians and Russians are there at the moment?
It's fucking same as amount. There's dead fucking Yemenis and Iranians and whatever around the world.
Yeah,
different nationalities.
Yeah.
All what's going on in fucking Africa. There's loads of places around the world that are all in conflict. And
it's true.
It's problems. It's been like that forever.
Yeah, it has.
It's always been like that. Nothing will ever change either. So,
I think this ends with a treaty that Ukraine don't join NATO and that Crimea stays Russian.
Possibly.
And then maybe some autonomy for the people from Donbass, is it? Because didn't they vote that they wanted to be Russian or something?
Well, so they say. That's another thing.
We've got it with Ireland, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've got exactly the same in Ireland, Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so political and that it's hard to... Yeah, but difficult, isn't it?
How can we, if the island situation's been going on forever, which it has, then how are we expected to go over to Eastern Europe and fix everything over there as well? We can't even do it on our own doorstep.
So just stay in your own lane, do your own thing.
Yeah.
Make your own wars.
I thought Biden said he was going to fix Ireland, didn't he? Remember when he first got voted in, he said he was going to sort out that Northern Ireland situation.
I think all US presidents say that, though, don't they?
It's like, what are you on about? Have you got any understanding of it whatsoever?
Yeah. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But there you go. I'm going to watch it. I'm certainly.
Yeah, I'll watch it for sure. Definitely, it's definitely something I would 100% watch. I've got interested in it to see what's going on.
It'd be interesting to see
whether it takes sides or not is another thing. I don't generally take sides unless it's sport.
I think it's
take sides in.
I think it's fair to say in this day and age you shouldn't invade a sovereign country and start killing people and bombing things.
But then again, some sovereign countries need fucking taking a look at. The way they treat their people, and the way they're treating, everything that goes with it. They need to be. They can't just govern and rule under a method of the way they do it to depress the fucking people that work there.
I don't think anyone's going to watch this and suddenly be like, "Yeah, go Russia," and there'll be Russian flags outside people's houses.
I bet they will be.
I think some of the Ukrainian flags may come down from outside people's houses, but I don't think there'll be Russian flags replacing them just off an interview.
I mean, like I say, I've heard what Zelensky's got to say a lot of stuff, and I'm like, mate, I don't trust you one bit.
I'm not sure about it.
And I said to you ages ago, he seems to always have the fucking begging bowl out. I mean, nothing on the comeback, nothing sort of like say, there's the favour back.
I think
I don't see a two-way street here.
I just don't think for a second our governments and the US government and stuff do this stuff out of charity. Ever.
Oh no, I doubt they will.
60 billion becomes 200 billion over the next 10 years or 20 years or whatever it is. It has to be, doesn't it? They're not that stupid to say, here's 60 billion and don't worry about it, it's fine. It's a loan. It's
whether it comes back from them or whether it's diverted, and they mither me for money laundering. They mither people for things, and this is what this is on a grander scale, maybe.
It's all money laundering, though, isn't it? It's all just like the 1% of rich people just passing it between themselves and invading each other's countries.
Like I say, stay in your lane, look after your own affairs, and you'll be good. You'll be sound.
Let us know if you're going to watch it. In fact, if you have watched it, because this video will be coming out once it's out.
Maybe we'll do a follow-up once it's out.
Yeah, we'll see what the dislike ratio is on this one first.
Hope you guys enjoyed that discussion. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.